Alright, here we go. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is my review of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a review I've been looking forward to doing for a very long time. This is the final installment in Marvel's Phase 2 of their cinematic universe. This is the movie that precedes Avengers Age of Ultron, and so I'm going to talk about it. As you could probably guess, I will be talking about the ending to this movie towards the end of this video. So I will talk about the general review first, and then go into spoilers towards the end. I will warn you before the spoilers show up. So the movie starts out by showing us a flashback. We are introduced immediately to Peter Quill. He is Star-Lord. He is our essentially main character, main protagonist of the movie. We see him as a child. We see him right before his mother is about to die from cancer, and it's kind of a sad, emotional scene. And then very quickly into that, within like the first 5 minutes of the film, we see him abducted by a spaceship, and then 26 years later, we see him as a full-grown man, and he is an outlaw. He is the outlaw named Star-Lord, and he is freaking awesome. Chris Pratt does a phenomenal job in this role, and I immediately loved seeing him as Star-Lord. He worked really well as the character, and it just really did it good for me. So if you saw the first trailer for Guardians, you know that these characters, they all wind up together in a prison, and this is where they essentially meet up and decide to form together. And so we are introduced to Zoe Saldana of Avatar, and we see her as her character, and she is very, very cool as her character. She is an assassin. She works alongside Ronan, who's the main bad guy, and Thanos, who is the ultra mega bad guy of this, well, 3-part saga so far of Avengers. So we are showing her fairly quickly. She has kind of her opposite, which is Karen Gillan from Doctor Who fame. She does a really, really nice job in her role. I really liked seeing her as this really evil character, and forgive me for not knowing all the names. We were also introduced to Rocket Raccoon, voiced by Bradley Cooper, and this is probably one of the most hysterical characters I've seen in a while. He is a very feisty character. He's an outlaw. He has that outlawish tone, and he's just an all-around really cool guy. And I like that about midway through the movie, we got to see kind of what is bottled up inside Rocket, and that was kind of a cool way to view the character as not just this badass, but someone who actually has a past and has feelings and is really pissed off about a lot of things. We are also introduced to Groot, which is this living tree who can only say, "I am Groot," for the whole movie, and Rocket is the only one who can understand him. Groot is probably the most hysterical character, in my opinion, in this film, just because of how he portrays things and just the actions that he does throughout the movie. He just does it phenomenally, and Vin Diesel voiced this guy, and he didn't have a lot of lines to say, but just how the creators were able to make Groot really just stand out and portray his personality in ways other than just his voice and his talking and his speech. It really shows the marvel of this company. And lastly, we have Drax, who is this mad fighter. He's really bulked up and everything, and he is going after Ronan for killing his wife and child. And so we get to see conflict within him, and he does not understand metaphors too well, which is also really comical towards the beginning of the movie. I really liked how this movie also introduced the Infinity Stones. We have seen kind of glimpses of these here or there throughout the Marvel films. In Avengers, we saw the Tesseract. This was one of the Infinity Stones. And then in Thor the Dark World, we saw the Ether, which was apparently another one of the Infinity Stones. Now we see an actual, like, crystallized Infinity Stone and the power that these things possess. And it's just really, really neat to see. And we kind of see something starting to lead up into Avengers 3, where I'm assuming everybody will come together to take out Thanos. And we actually get to see Thanos. Josh Brolin voices Thanos, and he does a really, really cool job with this role. We don't really see a lot of Thanos, but we see enough of him to kind of get a glimpse into his character and kind of somewhat discover what his methods are. And so that's kind of a neat thing. Also, unexpected character showing. Merle from The Walking Dead, Daryl's brother, he is in this movie, and I had no idea about this. And he actually has a fairly big role in it, and I really like to see him because his personality is just portrayed so well in this film, and it's just really exciting to see that. In terms of the plot is just really, really good. I won't really get into too many details right here, but just know that it's really good. It combines a lot of comedy, which I really enjoyed. There's comedy throughout this whole film, which works really well, even during serious parts, even towards the end where it's really getting built up and everything. There's still huge comedic moments in this movie, and it just works so well. There's obviously a lot of action. This is essentially a comedic Star Wars in many ways, except for just minus lightsabers. And it just works really, really well. The music in this movie is phenomenal. I have no idea who did the orchestrations and composing, but it just all works so well together. And I was just blown away by this movie. I gotta say, it is easily my top movie of the summer so far, and possibly my top of the year, if that means anything to you at all. So, before I go into spoiler-esque things, give my opinion on the ending, I just gotta say, definitely check this out if you are at all interested in this movie. If you have your doubts because it looks kind of comedic and childish and kind of dumb, forget that. Ignore what you were telling yourself and go out and see this movie, especially if you are a huge Marvel fan. You have probably already seen this movie and are watching the review. But if you have your doubts, forget them, because this movie just blows everything away, and I am very much looking forward to the sequel, which will probably come out in either 2017 or 2018. And then seeing how these characters will interact with the Avengers in Avengers 3, it will just be really, really interesting to see, especially with Groot and Drax. That'll be really interesting. Like I said, definitely really enjoyed the movie. Definitely one of the best I've seen so far. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And from here, I'll be going into spoiler-esque territory. So if you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy, probably stop watching here because I don't want to spoil things for you, but we're going to get into it. So very briefly, about midway through the movie, we get to see the Collector. We last saw him at the end of Thor: The Dark World. We saw two of the Asgardian warriors give the ether over to him for safekeeping, and now they're bringing the Infinity Crystal to the Collector for safekeeping and to trade it in, essentially for money. I would not be terribly surprised if the Collector is working with Thanos to try to collect all these Infinity Stones. I have no idea what this guy's role is. I haven't really done any research into the character. I don't read the comics or anything, but I feel like the Collector is going to be someone who we will continue to see, at least in the Thor films and in the Guardian sequel. Now, let's get into that big final space fight. Well, not space fight, but I guess atmosphere fight. That was a really, really neat scene. Great CGI all around. I really liked how Rocket kind of took control of the situation, was saving people. We see these criminals who, at the beginning of the movie, only really cared about themselves for the most part, now band together and work with the people who were originally trying to capture them, and just try to save this city and stop it from being obliterated by Ronan. Ronan is kind of a cool character because we see kind of the reasons why he's doing these things, trying to get the Infinity Stone, because he's trying to get it for Thanos. And then he betrays Thanos, which you wouldn't think is the smartest idea in the world. But Thanos doesn't really retaliate at all, which kind of surprised me. We have this big epic fight. The Guardians eventually break into the ship and take down Ronan. I kind of wish we could have seen more of the fight between Zoe Saldana's character and Karen Gillan's character, because it just seemed like they kind of just cut to that fight here or there. We didn't get to see the full-fledged version of it. We know that these two characters have a very big backstory. It seems like they kind of grew up together, they trained together, they got as good as they did together, and we see them kind of bickering about this, but we don't really know any of the history, so hopefully we get to see more of that in Guardians 2, assuming that Karen Gillan's character survived. Don't know how you survive that far of a fall, but I mean, until we see a dead body in anything, you never know with these things. So then we get to the ship crashes down, and we think that we have won because reasons. And then Ronan steps out, and he is about to destroy everything. And then the most random thing happens. We have Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, just dancing along, basically distracting Ronan. And I would have thought that Ronan would just kind of ignored him and kept about to destroy the planet, and then he just kind of stops in amazement, which was really hysterical, honestly. And then Drax shoots the rocket, destroys the hammer that the Infinity Stone is in, and Star-Lord grabs it. They all grab it as a team, and they're able to use the power and not kill themselves by grabbing hands and then destroying Ronan. And then, towards the very end, we get a few different hints as to who Star-Lord's father is. We only see this really hinted at. I'm assuming they'll explore it a little more in the sequel. But Merle's character, he kind of hints at it like they should have brought him to his father, because apparently that's what they were originally abducting him for. And then we get kind of a hint by Nova that his father is something ancient and never really recorded before. And so I have, again, no idea into Star-Lord's history in terms of the comics or anything, so I have no idea what this is referencing. But I'll be looking forward to seeing more of it. And then they fly off and la-di-da, they're good to go. So the ending to the movie I thought was really good. It kind of wrapped up everything pretty well. I thought that Groot's sacrifice towards the end was really admirable. I really liked that scene. I wasn't terribly surprised when he started to grow back again, because that just kind of makes sense, because I don't know why they would kill off one of the 5 characters, at least before the final movie. And then, just really quick, the ending scene I thought was kind of dumb, honestly, because they showed the Collector. They could have done something really cool here, but they chose not to. They just had him kind of sitting, and then they show a CGI duck. I have no idea who this is. It's like Howard the Duck or something, and I was just kind of like, that was kind of stupid. So, leave in the comments what is that referencing to? I have no, honestly, idea. So, that's my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy. Make sure to leave your comments on it down below in the comments section. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Again, if you so choose, I'd appreciate it very much. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.